What's going on, everybody? Nick here. So, Girardi was on with Mike Francesa today. Cashman was doing an interview somewhere else, and they were talking about Cashman was given the reasons why they moved on from Joe Girardi. And there's an article here which I think is actually kind of funny, which I think I call BS on Cashman with some stuff. But the first one I want to call BS on is ESPN. I don't watch ESPN unless for some reason the Yankees or the Giants or somebody's on there. I cannot stand ESPN as an organization. I'm going to tell you why. And political BS aside, they're just a crappy sports news organization now. I hate when people say, "Oh, this guy against my team." They're absolutely 100%. A lot of them are against the Yankees. I shouldn't say 100%. That's crazy talk. A lot of the employees there and people they're anti-Yankee, and they make it known on the air a lot. I'll give you the perfect example, a couple things that I see, and it's little things bit by bit by bit. And ESPN is like all the other Major League Baseball teams that can't stand the Yankees until they come to their stadium, until they can make money off them. It's like, the Marlins and the Royals and everybody hates the big bad Yankees until they come to their stadium and they can raise up ticket prices and sell out. It's just a fact. But ESPN actually does not like the Yankees, and I'm going to give you a couple reasons. These little things all the time that they just push out there that just drive me nuts. For starters, was watching the NBA show, and Jamal Mashburn made a simple comment in a discussion that, he's like, I'm a Yankee fan. And the two anchors just killed him, just berated him about, when was the last time they won a World Series? How's that working out for you? Blah, 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 blah. And it's like, if I was Jamal Mashburn, I would have just stood up and they would have pissed their pants. But at the end of the day, he handled it a lot better than I probably would have. The other thing is, I remember when they were showing plays, and somebody on the defense made a good play for another team, and the anchor said, if Derek Jeter made that play, there'd be an hour-long Yankeeography on it. It's just this constant Yankee bashing that they can do when it's not even. And by the way, the game wasn't even the Yankees; it was like the White Sox and the Twins. But they got to throw their little Yankee bashing in there. It just drives me nuts. And here's another example: ESPN article. Brian Cashman gives some reasons for firing Joe Girardi. Well, first of all, he wasn't fired. So Andrew Marchand, get your facts straight. The title of the article, the headline of the article is just incorrect. It's just not right. He wasn't fired. He wasn't fired. His contract was up. Yankee said, "Thank you for your service." That's not firing somebody. It's just it's unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. They're just that's not even a true factual headline. Forget what's in the article. The headline is not factual. Andrew Marchand, you're a moron. Well, it's a little thing, they didn't bring him back or something. No, he didn't get fired. Use the right terminology. You're a freaking ESPN senior writer. Get it right. And they use it later on down here, after he says something about, he had some wonderful messages and texts. And then it says, afterwards from, after he was fired. When he wasn't fired. He's just not coming back. They didn't renew his contract. Just like listen, what ESPN is doing by the thousands at their organization, that's firing people. That's firing people. Anyway, Brian Cashman says they need a new, fresh voice. They need a new, fresh voice, which is interesting because, I'll get to that in a second. And then it was his connectivity and communication issues with the players. Girardi said in his interview that he didn't have any issues and his relationships were all fine with the players. Now, yeah, you're not going to get along with all the players. But, it's funny. If this is a young team coming up, isn't this guy a fresh new voice already to them? Because they're coming from double and triple A? That's a fresh new voice in the clubhouse because all these guys are new in the clubhouse. So that's BS right there. And a communication issue, I think the team pretty much had his back and showed how they rallied around their manager after his blunders in that one game against the Indians and then went through and came one win away from going to the World Series. I just wish they would be honest. And he says, it was a tough decision. We don't take these things lightly. You're full of shit. You knew you were doing it. Probably back at the trade deadline last year. You just didn't know that it was going to look this bad because he almost made the playoffs when you were sellers last year, and he got you one game from the World Series and losing in a Game 7. So the decision wasn't hard. The decision wasn't difficult. What was hard and difficult was trying to make it look like to the fans to justify it. Because you get from one game from the World Series, kind of hard to justify letting go of the manager. So to say you needed a fresh voice is BS because all these guys are young. Most of them they're going to be rookies and young guys coming up. That's the fresh voice. And communication issues. No, you didn't like Joe Girardi because Joe Girardi's not a yes man. Simple as that. And we know it. He had the issues in Miami when he was there for 1 year. And he's just not a yes man. And don't give me a guy that's going to come and give you all the stats because Joe Girardi lived by the statistics and the analysis and the analytics, and the binders. He lived and died by it. I just wish Brian Cashman would be obvious. I wish these guys would just be honest, I should say. Just be honest and tell the truth. Just be honest and tell the truth why you let him go. You didn't like the guy. Don't tell me it's time to move on, a fresh new voice. Then later in the article it states, well, we don't know what we would have done if he would have got us to the World Series. So that one game was that one game needed because you needed a fresh new voice. Insanity. Such BS. I thought I would, Girardi. I thought I would be back. He described getting fired by Cashman. He wasn't fired. Could somebody share this to Andrew Marchand? He wasn't fired, you moron. Maybe when ESPN does their next round of cuts, maybe they'll look at you and fire you. How about that? Or maybe not renew your contract. And then I'll write an article about how ESPN fired you. Ugh. These things get me riled up sometimes. I don't really hate Andrew Marchand. I don't even know him. It's funny. It's just funny. I don't know what direction the Yankees going. They're going to want a yes man. Girardi's not that guy. I think Girardi would be great for a young team. I think he'd be great for a team with veterans. When you have a mix of veterans and a mix of young guys, I don't think you needed a new, fresh voice in the clubhouse. Maybe it's just me. You know, I don't know many teams who need a new, fresh voice losing Game 7 in the ALCS when you weren't even supposed to make the playoffs that year. I don't know what that new, fresher voice is going to bring. I mean, unless he's a friggin' genie. Unless you have a genie somewhere in a bottle that you're going to rub and it friggin' pops out in the dugout. Unbelievable. Anyway, let me know what you think. Am I crazy? Probably. Whatever. Send me your hate comments. They make me laugh. That's it. See ya.